Namaskar. As we know, true knowledge, wisdom, and the philosophy of life can best be addressed by a well-read person. Though the habit of visiting libraries is diminishing, good content with an interesting writing style can often compel a reader to pick up a book at the leisure and make a most of it. Today, in our Meet the Author program, we present a lead to read, a story on an absorbing book and the equally interesting author who combined his leadership, acumen, and the interest for science to come up with a book titled Mysteries of the Universe. Before we dive deep into the book, let's meet the author himself. Sri Shashiranjan Kumar is an IS officer as well as an electrical engineer from IIT Delhi. He has worked in the governments of Tripura and Jharkhand in the past. At present, he is a joint secretary in the Department of Telecommunication, Government of India. So what inspired a bureaucrat to don the pen, and why on the subject that light years away from his files and paperwork? It will be an interesting to explore all these questions in the show today and also find out what the book promises to book lovers. It is so nice to see the person who all the way working on the files for the years together. What made you to be an author today?
Although I have shifted to government job, I have been a student of science. Sure. I did my basic schooling in science and then I did electrical engineering from IIT Delhi. So the question of science has always engaged me.
Right.
And I have always wondered about the big questions of life.
Right.
For example, how this universe came into existence.
Correct.
How these different forms of life species on Earth.
Right.
And it is this curiosity that led me to write this book.
Very good, sir. I actually gone through the book Mysteries of the Universe that you are really, it made me feel like an author, a person who is all the way sitting in the library, in the, well furnished and air conditioner office. The questions are so common for every one of us. What basically motivated you to talk about it, and that too for the common reader?
See, even look at this book. This is such a small thing, but it requires so much effort to produce this book.
Yes.
If you look at this universe is billions of light years across, where light takes billions of years to reach from one place to another place. Isn't it a mystery how this entire universe was created?
Right.
Similarly, if you look at life, there are millions of species.
Correct.
On the earth.
Right.
I thought I would write a book which deals with these fundamental questions of existence.
Correct.
And to begin with, I identified 6 important questions.
I see.
That humanity has contended with.
Correct.
Since inception. And these 6 questions became 6 chapters of this book.
Right.
And each of these chapters, I have then tried to trace the history of knowledge.
Very beautifully, sir. In fact, in your first chapter, which talks about how all began, the way generally the authors feels to start with the Big Bang, how the things have come, but the way you have written it, you have taken the readers to write from the beginning how the curious mind thinks about. So what made you to go either from the Big Bang to straight away to the questions which actually make the person very inquisitive?
See, I have read several books dealing with these issues, and one of the problems that I found with these books was that in the very first chapter or very early in the book, they introduce very difficult questions, very difficult ideas like Big Bang. So I thought, let me go to the beginning when people thought that Earth was flat at the time of Aristotle, and from there we have made this journey from Earth being flat to Earth being round. Then, as you know, for almost 1,000 years, Earth was supposed to be at the center of the universe.
Correct.
Ptolemy model succeeded for more than 1,000 years.
True.
And thereafter, when Copernicus came in 16th century, then finally we came to know, no, it is the sun which is at the center of our planetary system. And from there on, going to various stars, various galaxies, there was a lot of debate whether these galaxies are part of our own galaxy or they were then called island universes. So we have tried to traverse this distance in order to give an ordinary reader a perspective, a historical perspective.
Right.
And so that ideas he can absorb in an incremental manner rather than introducing to him the most difficult concept of science in the very beginning.
Very well written, sir. In fact, in the book that, in the first chapter, a lot of science that you have talked about, right from, as you mentioned, from the Ptolemy to the present, the microwave background radiations that has been, Kobe has actually given us the idea about the expanding universe. So how, in fact, what is the more interesting for us to understand that when you have talked about the development of science to the such extent, but you correlate it to the philosophy and that to the Indian philosophy. What made you to think about that?
You may be aware that actually till the time of Newton, science as a discipline did not exist. It was called natural philosophy, the greatest book ever written in science. Right. That is why it is called Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy by Newton. Yeah. So all these tough questions were part of natural philosophy.
Right.
And my endeavor has been to give a complete picture to the reader.
Correct.
So I have also tried to incorporate Indian philosophy on these issues, and also what were our achievements in the field of science since ancient times.
Correct. In fact, sir, it's a very interesting discussion which is going on, but it's time for the break. Short break. We will come back and continue our discussion on the interesting topic about the mysteries of universe. Let's take a break.
India Science is an internet-based science TV channel initiated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, implemented and managed by Vigyan Prasar. India Science on the URL www.indiascience.in is a bilingual channel with content in Hindi and English. It can be accessed on any internet-enabled device. This video platform is dedicated to science and technology knowledge dissemination with a strong commitment to spreading scientific awareness, especially with Indian perspectives, ethos and cultural context. The India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Welcome back after a break. Sir, we were discussing about the book, and in the first chapter itself, when you spoke about the how all it began, you started from the Ptolemy to the, as I said, till the microwave background radiations, and you very beautifully connect this reader from the point of view of science to the philosophy of understanding the whole universe. So, what are all the various philosophies that you have spoken in this chapter?
First of all, let me give one more information. The first person to measure the circumference of Earth was Eratosthenes. But his calculation was not that accurate.
Correct.
And our own scientist, Aryabhat, he describes in his book Aryabhatiya the measurement of circumference of Earth. And it is precise to the tune of 0.2% of the current value of Earth's circumference.
Very true.
And he did it very easily. On a particular day on 21st June, at the Tropic of Cancer, if you look, the sun, mid-sun does not form any shadow. And you go northward, it will form a shadow.
Correct.
From that distance, he was able to calculate the circumference of Earth. He also knew the value of pi.
Right.
So he also calculated the radius and diameter of Earth.
Right.
To almost 0.2% accuracy.
Correct.
Isn't that
very interesting? Very interesting. Yeah, very beautifully.
And then I also did not know till I started researching for this book that Neelkantha Somsutwan of Kerala School of Mathematics and Astronomy presented a mixed model of universe.
Yes.
mixed model, I mean, in Ptolemy model, the earth was the center.
Yes.
In Copernicus model, the sun was at the center.
Correct.
But Brahe presented a mixed model in which
Correct.
all other planets rotated around, revolved around the sun, but the sun itself revolved around the earth.
Correct.
Same was presented by Nilkant Somsutban
Right.
of Kerala school
Right.
at least half a century earlier than
Correct.
Tycho
So
Brahe.
it's basically from epicyclic motions to
Yeah.
the heliocentric theory that has been tried to cover.
Yes.
Sir, interestingly, in the first chapter again, because we have to cover the rest of the chapter as well, I would like to understand ultimately when it all began, when we talked about right from the understanding of the flat Earth to the unknown facts of today as well, and you have made the reader to understand that ultimately after the development of so much of science and technology, still the questions are unanswered.
You are aware that the ordinary matter consists only make 5%, less than 5% of the universe.
Yes.
Rest are either dark matter or dark energy.
True.
We really don't understand either dark matter or dark energy very much.
Correct.
So to that extent, it's still a mystery.
Right.
And my fundamental reasoning in this book is that no matter how much you investigate,
Right.
no matter how many questions you answer,
Correct.
from each answer itself will give rise to few questions.
Right. Right.
So this quest of knowledge is an endless quest,
Very true.
and you are not going to get complete knowledge at any point of time.
Very true.
So that's the whole, that's the theme, sub-theme that runs through the entire book.
Very well. In fact, when we come back to the second chapter where you have mentioned about the immortality, how much can we try ourselves to be immortal? In the whole, when I was going through the book, in the second chapter when you talked about how one is trying to be. So in fact, everyone is trying to be as long as we can survive. So ultimately, what you wanted to make the readers to understand out of this second chapter where you have mentioned about, can it be possible to be an immortal?
In that chapter, if you go towards the concluding part of that chapter, you will find that it is virtually impossible to make ourselves immortal.
Right.
And that is scientifically speaking.
Correct.
But otherwise also,
Yeah.
from point of view of sustainability of the human race,
Yes.
with so much population and the climate change,
Correct.
sustaining this level of population is becoming difficult.
Correct.
If lifespan increases manifold, you can imagine how much pressure it will put on
Yes.
earth resources.
Very true.
Also from moral point of view,
Right.
is it good to have immortal human beings, few immortal human beings,
Correct.
while rest are consigned to mortality?
Yeah.
Raises lot many ethical questions.
Very true. In fact, in the same, if I just extend the immortality to the ultimate, something that we talked about is to being unhappy all the time. And you correctly took to the reader to the chapter called as how can we be happy all the time? So in the process of that, I mean, what made you to talk about this happiness and consistency to be in the happiness, and that you have referred a lot of philosophical aspect from the Indian philosophy as well. What made you to talk this particularly, discuss about these questions to the reader?
See, happiness is something that everybody desires. There is no one who is not seeking happiness. The path of seeking happiness may be different, but everybody is seeking happiness. And this is the most fundamental question facing us. And our ancient Indians have done great research in this field. If you look at Buddhism, Buddhism is all about seeking happiness. Right. Look at different types of anandas in Hindu philosophy, the Vishyanand, the Bhajananand, the Shamananand and the Brahmanand. There are 4 levels of ananda, 4 levels of happiness. So these are the questions that our ancient Indians have put a lot of effort to understand.
Sir, so basically you was talking about the happiness that everybody is interested to get into. So how you were talking about that happiness from the point of view of a reader, and how can we reach to that for complete happiness? So how do you look at this from the point of science as well as the philosophy in that?
From point of view of science, I have tried to cover a lot of distance in that in economics, in psychology of well-being, and in philosophy, of course, both Buddhism and Hinduism have dwelt enough on happiness. But ultimately, you find that it is something that is desirable, but you are not going to get complete happiness at any point of time.
Correct. So,
Perhaps you will have to, that life is imperfect, and you have to come to terms with some amount of unhappiness in life.
so do you finally make the reader to understand happiness is something that is beyond the reach? Is it possible? Do you mean to mention that, or in the process that you wanted the reader to make it sure that happiness is always a momentary, that you get it and then you finish it?
I mean both. It's
Okay.
momentary, so you at one time you are happy, the other time you are unhappy. But to say that there will be a state where you will always be happy is difficult to achieve.
Correct.
Is difficult.
And in the same chapter, you referred about the 4 different happiness from the point of view of the Indian philosophy. So, I mean, how do you classify those various happiness?
So Indian philosophy, Hindu philosophy particularly, have 4 levels of happiness. The first one is Vishyanand. It is the grossest form of happiness. The happiness that you enjoy from your 5 senses. The music, the good
Listen,
sight, the
yes,
listen, everything, the
yes,
food
yes.
you eat.
Correct.
Then the next level of happiness is called Shamananand.
I see.
It's by controlling your
Sensory
desires.
organs. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Because in the morning you are very lazy. You don't want to wake up, and yet you wake up and go for a run.
Right.
What makes you do that?
Correct.
Obviously, by suppressing your desire, it's giving you happiness because you want to achieve something.
Correct.
And then the highest level, of course, is the third level is the Bhajanananda, when you devote your time to
Right.
God.
Right.
And the fourth one is Brahmanand, and then Brahmanand is the highest level because their all duality ceases to exist.
Right. So when you wrote this particular chapter, you have referred various philosophies across the globe. So I mean, it's just out of an inquisitive mind, I'm trying to ask the question like, who are so many of different philosophies that you have referred? Which philosophy you consider is actually taking us to the maximum understanding of the life altogether?
I think the Buddha's middle path comes closest to that.
I see. Okay.
If you want to lead a life that is more fulfilling and happy.
Okay. Beautiful. So ultimately, you make the reader feel like how it has all started. Ultimately, everyone wants to be immortal, including the objects in the universe. And ultimately, in the process of the life, we would look for the happiness altogether. And you have very beautifully covered the various philosophical thought process about the happiness altogether. But sir, it's time for the break. So we'll take a very short break here again, and we'll come back to the sir again with the author to talk about the other aspect of the book very shortly.
India Science is an internet-based science TV channel initiated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, implemented and managed by Vigyan Prasar. India Science on the URL www.indiascience.in is a bilingual channel with content in Hindi and English. It can be accessed on any internet-enabled device. This video platform is dedicated to science and technology knowledge dissemination with a strong commitment to spreading scientific awareness, especially with Indian perspectives, ethos and cultural context. The India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Welcome back. We are back after a break. Let's just take the discussion forward with our Shashiranjan Kumar sir, who has beautifully written a book. Sir, now when we have come to the happiness, and ultimately we would like to know what is the real and reality, and what you are trying to refer in this particular chapter as far as the readers are concerned.
In chapter number 4, that is how real is reality. Every day we talk about what is real and what is unreal. But what reality is, that's the question. We perceive this gross world through our 5 senses. So then I have started from those 5 senses, and there are only 2 forms one is called matter, other is energy. Whole universe is comprised of these two things, matter and energy. So I have delved into the the history of sound, history of light,
I see.
and how light was considered a wave as well as a particle, and how ultimately we came to conclusion that actually light is dual. It's both a wave and a property and a particle. And ultimately we came to know that matter itself exists in form of probability wave,
Correct, correct.
and it does not assume shape until it meets the consciousness of an observer.
Very true. So basically, sir, when I was going through the whole of the chapters, you started with the Big Bang, started from the how it all began, how we would like to understand the real and reality, and then to the predictability, and ultimately you made the reader understand we have to have a balancing life. So how you would like the reader to take away the message of this book?
See, one thing that I will say, I would like to give to the readers, to explain to the readers, is that even knowing has its own limits, and that is the one theme that is running constantly through the book, because the nature of questioning is is such.
Correct.
And the second thing is that the evidence of fine tuning of universe is there everywhere, and the fine tuning is what? Middle. You have to be on the balance.
Correct.
Too much of everything or too less of everything is not good at all.
I see. So I think to summarize everything, balancing the life is most important for all of us to understand. So all viewers,
Just a second.
Yeah.
You are almost treading on a razor's edge.
Very beautifully said. So no, imbalancing anywhere is going to be a very disastrous for all of us. So all the viewers, so this is all about the book and the focus of an human endeavors in finding the answers to the some of the interesting questions and of the life. It has thrown a light on how the busy bureaucrat could find the time and passion to pen such an interesting book. Hope our discussions with Sri Shishiranjan Kumar has enlightened you. You can share your feedback with us. Till then, goodbye.